Papasquatjon coming at ya. Today we're going to do an info dump, though, so that's what this episode is. If you haven't been around for one of these, I hope it's interesting. I get a lot of views on these, which is kind of cool, even compared to like actual song videos that I do. And what I'm going to go through is talk about myself a little bit, because people, especially new people, always are interested, like, why did you start doing this? Where are you from? What sort of musical background do you have? Blah, blah, blah. So like, anything that I can think of, I'll try and answer. People have asked me questions in the comments, too, and I'll try and recall exactly what people have asked about. And then I'm going to show you this stuff. So this is info that I see on YouTube Studio, which is what I use to upload videos, and kind of go through some of the numbers. You see these are all the recent videos. So up on top is Fool Ya by Chief Keef, then What You Doing Up Right Now from Lil Lotus, so all the videos that I just posted last night. And it shows me a bunch of different stuff about them, and way over here is the menu of the different kind of dashboards that I can look at. The first one is actually called Dashboard, then Content, Analytics, Comments, Subtitles, etc., 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 etc. So I'll go through some of that stuff, but like I said, people often ask me about me, and me, it's a weird way to say that. My real name is John. Papasquatjon is just a joke name that I came up with, and I'm sure tons of other people have also come up with over the years, but I came up with it, I don't know, back in the 90s, 2000s, I forget, and just always joked if I ever started a rap career, my name would be Papasquatjon. If I were smart, I actually would have spelled it P-O-P-P-A, like Papa, like whatever, like you say, pop something into something, so you are actually popping a squat. And it's not a name that I had as a nickname. It's not a name that I've ever used. When I started this channel, I was like, oh, I'll just make up a goofy name or use this goofy name as my ID. Not thinking that this would actually go anywhere or turn into anything, or that anybody would even care to watch these videos. I started doing these videos in fact, let me take a look here. I'm just going to open up the actual YouTube page that I have here. Or my YouTube page, I should say. Papasquatjon YouTube. And this tells me October 23rd of 2020. So this was during the pandemic. It was a few months into it, so it really officially started in like March of 2020, and so this is what, 6 months later, 7 months later. What's October? Is the 10th month, of course, October 10. So yeah, 7 months later. In March, April of that year, I had to sell a house. I was unemployed. I had to live off that money. I was drinking at least a 750 milliliter bottle of alcohol a day, at least. Usually vodka, because it was didn't make me feel quite as bad afterwards the next day. And I was trying to stop. And in fact, I think I started this after I had gone... No, I hadn't started it after I had gone into rehab. I think I started it just before, and I was trying to distract myself. I was trying to find something to fill all these empty hours that, I mean, like everybody's familiar with, stuck at home, able to do nothing, not able to go out. This was like, Seattle was very, very serious about, and the people here is what I mean, were very serious about the pandemic. Everybody was masked, people were staying home, we were taking things very seriously, and so it was just a lot of empty fucking hours, like really annoying. And I mean, you know this, you all know this, and for somebody who wants to drink all the time, that's a really bad combination, because I would sleep until I felt like getting up because I wasn't working, so I'd sleep until 10, noon, something like that. Try to keep busy, maybe I'd get up earlier. Maybe start drinking at 3 o'clock, and then I drink until I fall asleep at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, watching movies, doing whatever. It was bad. It was not a good thing, and was single at the time. In fact, the reason I sold the house is because my girlfriend broke up with me and took her kids and moved somewhere else because I was drinking. Don't blame her for that. I absolutely deserved it. And this was a way for me to do something. And all I wanted to do, I had seen some videos of people doing reactions. Obviously, they've been around for a long time. And I used to think reactions like that's just, what's the point? And I kind of got into them a little bit because I saw this couple of guys, a man and a woman, probably in their late teens, early 20s. I've said this before, I don't know if they were friends, cousins, brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. The neighbors, I have no idea. But they were two youngish black people, one male, one female. And they were reacting to things like Queen's, Rhapsody, whatever, old Queen songs and old Led Zeppelin and things like that, and Bohemian Rhapsody. Whew. And of course they thought that stuff was amazing because it's pretty fucking amazing. And it was cool to see them discover this music that is not stuff that they had heard before, whether it's because they just were never exposed to it or because it's 30, 40, 50 years old, and why would a 20-year-old hear music? At least all the music I think of as classic, fantastic, cool music, that they just wouldn't be exposed to it. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh, it might be kind of fun to kind of flip the script on this and have somebody like me. I'm 53 now, so I was 51 at the time. Is that right? Yeah. So I would have been 51 at the time. Listen to hip hop and rap, and I've been a hip hop and rap fan for a long time. Not the music I would consider my number one favorite music classically. Probably progressive alternative music, stuff like REM, before they became REM, and all they were huge when they became popular. U2, The Cure, stuff like that, and more obscure stuff. XTC is probably one of my favorite bands ever. Same thing with Mike Doughty and Soul Coughing. So a pretty wide variety of music that all very much fit into the alternative, progressive sort of sound, what would have been called college radio back in the 80s and early 90s. Big fan of the radio station here in Seattle, KEXP, and you can check them out online. They really do some excellent music. But there's not quite enough variety there for me, and so I like a lot of variety. If you were to go through my iPhone to look at what I have on here in terms of music, I'm sure everybody thinks their musical tastes are, so eclectic and weird and unique and cool and whatever. So I will say the same thing. I have a very, very wide range of music. Everything from classic Colombian guitar music to Blade, who I've reacted to a bunch here on the channel, to Curtis Blow, to classical music like Vivaldi, every possible thing you can think of. Even not a big country music fan at all. I hate country music in general just because they've sort of zeroed in on the sound that they want to have, and it all blends together for me. The only things that stand out for me in country music is country music that is different. And there you go. Like a couple of years ago when Lil Nas X did whatever, Country Road, whatever the hell that song was called, that was different, that was cool, that was an awesome country song, because it had a different perspective to it. It wasn't just, redneck, and I could say that I basically am kind of a redneck, that's my upbringing kind of, and you know, redneck country boy music. It doesn't appeal to me. There's nothing interesting for me there. Um, and so my musical tastes really run the gamut. And when I started this, I wanted to go back and kind of fill in some of the holes that I had in my musical history. So I was not. I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, Burlington, Wisconsin, about 10,000 people. It still has 10 to 12,000 people, something like that. My family still lives there. Um, my dad passed away a few years ago. My two sisters, their husbands, their sons, they have 7 sons between them. So all my nephews are back there, and they're now old enough to have wives, and some of them have kids. And I've never had kids. I had a wife who we weren't able to have kids. She ended up cheating on me and leaving, which is when I became alcoholic. That was a surprise. I was 47 years old. Did not think you could become an alcoholic at 47 after having drunk fairly normally for years, for decades. So that was surprising. That whole period of my life really screwed things up. Had to sell one house because of her leaving. Became alcoholic a month or two after she left, and really it was literally something I sat down to go get. I didn't want to be in my house because I was surrounded by all of our stuff, and I was completely alone. Like I said, no kids. I think she may have already come to get her cats by then, so I also had no cats around to entertain me. Not that it would have mattered. So it was just me and all of our stuff, because she hadn't taken any of her stuff left. She'd moved in with the guy she had cheated on me with, and it would take months before she would actually come and get all of the crap that was in the house, and then she would leave everything that was left for me to deal with. How nice of her. So then I was sick of being at home and said, "Screw this! I want chicken wings. I love chicken wings. I love barbecue, anything chicken wings. I'll throw into that category." So I went to a local bar in Renton, Washington, where I was living. I live in Washington now, and have for 22, 23 years. And got a drink, and that was it. That was the end of it. And it was because my stress levels were so high, and this is apparently the key to become an alcoholic at 47, is you need, or at any age really, you have to have a stress level that is bad for your body. And then take a drink, and the drink is just like cool water passing over you. You just like, it is what your body thinks, this is what we needed, and now we need this from now on. And from that day onward, middle of September of 2016, that was it. I was at the bar every single day, or to some bar, and I would drink. I spent a ton of money at the bar. I was making good money at the time at a job that I then lost because I was drinking and said something inappropriate to someone. Totally my fault. I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I think they could have handled it differently, but it was, it's their company. They get to do what they want. And then drank for years. And when I was doing these videos, I knew I needed to go into rehab. Wasn't court ordered or anything like that. It was just me going, I need to stop doing this, because it was ruining my life. I was running out of money. I had burned through all the money from the house that I had sold. I had burned through the money in my 401k, and it was a combination of just being unemployed for 2.5 years and not having all that much money in those accounts anyway, having to pay for a house while I was unemployed, because I closed on the house the day before I got let go from the company I was working for, and it just ate up all this money, just constant issues with everything. Then the pandemic struck, and then there was nobody hiring anybody anyway, so I was kind of screwed. Decided to go into rehab, contacted some people about that. They got me set up with a place here in Seattle. The recovery place down in Rainier Valley is where I went. And that was a very boring few days. And in fact, once I got out, I should maybe do this again, but once I got out, one of the things I did, I work in the gaming industry, or have worked in the gaming industry a lot. And when I say gaming, I mean like tabletop role-playing games. I have some books right here because I'm running them. Stuff like Dungeons & Dragons. This is the Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign, so I'm running this right now on Mondays for some friends. And but I've worked in that industry for 30 years, yeah. And as a writer, editor, game designer, producer, publisher, worked in distribution, I've worked in retail. I've worked in every level of the role-playing and tabletop gaming industry. Used to design miniatures, miniatures game called HeroClix for WizKids in the early 2000s, 2000, 2005, somewhere in there. And loved it, was awesome at it. Would love to get back to doing something like that again as a daytime job. I'm undiagnosed, but I swear to God I'm ADHD. And I need to be interested in whatever it is that I'm working on in order for me to do my best. If I'm not interested, I am not interested. I'm telling you, like, it is hard for me to concentrate and do work on something that I'm not interested. But if it's something I'm interested in, it's like they say, laser focus, just constant. And I love music. I don't remember exactly where I started in all this, but I'm switching gears. And one of the things I love is music, and I've listened to music my entire life. I've never stopped listening to music because I never had kids. I never had to stop. I never had to spend time listening to Rafi or whoever the hell else in my minivan with my kids so that they could enjoy their music and I couldn't enjoy mine. I have constantly listened to music since I was 10 years old. I remember getting, and I actually showed off some of these albums a while ago on a video that I did here on the channel because I found a big box of vinyl albums that I have from back when I was a kid and teenage years and some college, and kind of went through all of those, but they included things like the Beach Boys, which was my very first album, sort of the 20 golden hits or whatever the hell it was called, Glass Houses by Billy Joel, Eddie Rabbitt's I Love a Rainy Night, whatever that album was, Kenny Rogers' The Gambler. I know these are all albums from that time period. I don't think I have The Gambler though. All Queen, The Game, just a ton of music from that time period. And then moving forward, things like Tears for Fears, Michael Jackson, and some of these were like my sister's albums and stuff, but I would hear them and they would play them too. I was exposed to my sister was just a minor fan of Fleetwood Mac in the late 70s when they were popular. She was 3 years older than me, so she was a little more advanced in music than I was. And some of the music I really got into when I first heard it was like Depeche Mode, Some Great Reward is the album. The Pretty in Pink soundtrack that had a nice variety of different sorts of alternative music. And there's where I learned about bands like Echo and the Bunnymen and the Smiths and just all sorts of different stuff. And it just more music. But that was the early 80s. And I was not exposed at all to any of that. This is where I started. I was not exposed to any of the original hip-hop and rap stuff, which was obviously coming out of New York and really New York, and DJ Herc, things like that were getting their start in the 70s and into the 80s. And I heard a few songs that would break through. I definitely heard Blondie's Rapture, which was based on all that music that she had heard from the music scene in New York City, as they had heard in the music scene in New York City. And The Message, right? Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Nucleus this is a few years later. Nucleus did, the song Wiki Wiki Wiki. I know I've listened to it here on the channel, and I cannot ever remember the name of it. But that sort of stuff. Heard some... there were other groups that I heard. I want to say Curtis Blow, but I know Curtis Blow was part of another group before he broke out on his own. Then a little bit later on, we had things like Run DMC, who were huge, and they wisely came up with this idea of crossing over with rock bands and classic bands like the Beach Boys to do some music. That was the Fat Boys, but the Run DMC did Walk This Way with Aerosmith, and like they had a very kind of rock sound with their guitars, and it was always just music that I happened to hear. There were no radio stations, because that's how we consumed music back in the day, was you either had a record player or a cassette player, or you had the radio on. And so I would listen to the radio all the time. I still do when I drive, or I listen to my iPhone now, and all the music I have on it. And there was no other way to get music. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the internet until the first time I had it was 92, when I was living with a friend who was very into computers, and he knew what the hell he was doing. He played MUDs and mushes all the time. Multi-user dungeons is what that's called. And so it was always a type of music that I loved, really enjoyed, and never got much exposure to. There wasn't even a hip-hop rap station, an urban radio station, until I was just about to leave Madison, where I went to college. I started college in 1987, finished in 92, and there wasn't an urban radio station until 99 or 2000 in Madison. And I remember that specifically because Lauryn Hill's The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill came out and won all sorts of awards, and it was playing on no station in Madison, which people were like, that's kind of ridiculous. And it was, honestly. And obviously it has to do with economics, and like, is it worth it for radio stations to play that music? They're always behind the times, always. I mean, any large institutions will always be behind the times. So anyway, I've gotten to like other sorts of music over time. Really love electronic music and EDM, dance music, that sort of thing. I'm not a big dancer, but I love the energy, the style, the feel, the sound of dance music. I love experimental stuff, so everything, I talk about this group a lot, from Art of Noise to up to the Skrillex with, I wanted to say EDM, dubstep, and sort of that whole kind of funky, weird innovation of using sound as its own way to disrupt the song is just super cool. I still think it's a really cool thing. And to today, and we have groups like, groups of people like Drain Gang or Haunted Mound or who knows what else, but anybody making like Plug-in B, that sort of stuff. I just find it, emo rap, I find all that stuff so incredibly interesting, because it's taking all of these influences from the past and incorporating them into new music and new sorts of music and new styles of music that have never been seen before, because honestly they could never have been seen or conceived of before, because the things that they're built out of didn't exist before the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it's amazing. I can't even explain how I feel about it, because it's so incredibly cool to see how things get absorbed, processed, synthesized, and put out by these new artists that somebody like me in their 50s can look at and go, oh, I see where they're getting that, but I never would have connected those things. Like they must have grown up with this kind of music and this kind of music, and then been exposed to something like this, and it's all guesswork on my part, been exposed to something like this, and then they heard hip-hop and they were like, oh, I can combine all this stuff in it to create something completely new and different. And it's so exciting and cool for me to see that. That's what I wanted to find out about. Like, I wanted to find out what was going on in hip-hop, and I was going to start with the early 80s stuff and listen to all of that, and I decided to eventually start doing it chronologically, so go up through, late 70s, the earliest stuff. I just knocked my lamp. Into the 80s, and then on and on and on. And what happened was, I got enough subscribers here on the channel that they started suggesting newer songs to me. Otherwise, I would still be going through chronologically, and I don't know where I'd be now. I'm in 1983 at the moment, reacting to stuff. So I look at this page here from rateyourmusic.com, and somebody put up a list of, like, the best hip-hop singles of 1983. And I just am going through this list. So I did Planet Patrol, I Didn't Know I Loved You Till I Saw You Rock and Roll. Warp 9, Light Years Away, I think I've already done long ago. Sexual Harassment's KISSING is what I did last week, I think. So I'll probably do Leo, Fee Fi Fo Fum soon, and then All Ages Rap. OC, I'm not sure. Computer Funk. So on and on and on. And then I'll move on from 1983 to 1984, and that's what I was going to do, was just go on and see how music progressed over time. I still think that's a really interesting thing to try and do, is go through year by year by year by year and see how the music changes and where it changes and what changes about it, right? Because in the early days of hip-hop, it was very much about the break. That was the energy that they wanted to capture, was that everybody going crazy, dancing to the music, having a great time, and that's why all these old songs have such long musical breaks. And over time, it's almost completely inverted, so now we have these songs that are 2 minutes long and are almost solid lyric at the beginning, all the way to lyrics at the end, and there's nary a break in between, and it's fascinating, right? Like, that's the thing that I think is really cool, is to look at how the music has changed over time and why the music has changed. And hip-hop has gone from being just a dance music to being, and I kind of lump hip-hop is everything that I listen to here on the channel, unless it's specifically like alternative or light or some type of rock or something like that. But hip-hop went from being this dance music to being a way for the disenfranchised, the outcasts, the people who feel like outcasts, to communicate their story. And the story has become really the point of this music. And sometimes it's just a good time song. Sometimes it's a party song. Sometimes it's a hang out and be stoned and vibe song. But you get so much of this, but it's all written from the artist's perspective, right? So, and you can see when I look at music, I try to think about, like, okay, where did this come from? Why are they saying this stuff specifically? And I find it fascinating. I was an English major in college, English creative writing, and I took a bunch of classes called. I have an ILS certificate, Integrated Liberal Studies certificate, and those classes were fantastic. So the first class I took there was Introduction to Critical Thinking, probably the best class I took in my course in college ever, and any class, high school. It should be taught in high school, or junior high, middle school, whatever you want to call it. And it was basically like teaching you how to think critically. Hey, it's right in the title. So if somebody presents you with a pie chart that says X number of people did this, X number of people did this, X number of people did that, and breaks it out in a pie chart, then you have to ask, like, okay, who sponsored this study? Is it respectable? Is it from a trusted source? What was their scientific process like in asking these questions? Did they leave anything off of this chart that they might have? And like, can you even find that out? Is there more information there than they are telling you? And it's just things like that. Like, consider the whole picture. Consider who is telling you the story, who's presenting you with this information, because that also, like I talk about on this channel a lot, information is reality. I honestly 100% believe that. If you are missing information and somebody else has that information, you are living in a different universe than that person, because you can't possibly operate under the same conditions as the other person who knows something you don't know. And it's also why I love, another reason why I love music, because people are telling us exactly what their reality is, exactly what they're feeling and thinking, and what they know and what they have experienced. And in some cases, maybe they haven't learned everything they need to yet to be a complete person. You probably never do, but we talk about on this channel a lot to do with trust, and how trust is so much about information and communicating with each other, and how you might or an artist might be in a relationship with somebody, and then that relationship breaks up, and it's because there was a miscommunication, or the other person didn't tell them something, and then that leads to the end of a relationship, like they cheated with somebody else, and that's just not going to fly. It's all about information. And anyway, so that's how all this stuff gets jumbled together for me. I've also spent a lot of time on here talking about time, and how we sort of process time with our brain, sort of our sensory organ for time. I talked about this quite a while ago, but it's something that I've really started to think about, especially now that I'm 53. I can actually look back over 5 decades and see how things have changed, and how people really, really don't understand how time passes. We get stuck in these different developmental stages in our brain, and we think everything should stay just like it is when we were 13 or 16 or 22 or 27. And really, I think I read some stuff recently that says people tend to develop their sense of self until they get to like 27, 29. I'll probably go a few years either way on that. And then that's who they think they are, and that's what they think the world is. So when you see, especially older people, talking about the good old days, or and those good old days never existed, or they talk about, well, that's not how it used to be, and why is this thing so expensive, and the music today sucks because X. That's because they still think it's the same year, and things haven't changed since they were 27 years old, or whatever it is. And I really try not to do that. I try not to get stuck in that past, because I know it's not 1997 when I was 27. It's not. And it's 25 years since then, 26 years since then. And I think really that's one of the things people seem to respond to most on this channel, and when they reply to me and say, how can you appreciate this music? How can you feel anything about this? And it's because I look at it from the perspective of somebody who is a kid now, a kid, quote unquote, half my age or less, of people who are making this music, because I get it. And honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as people who are in their 20s. My work life absolutely sucks. My career is a complete ruin. I'm sure my bosses at my contract company would love to hear this, but I don't care, because I do this on my free time. But I don't have any of the things that I wanted when I was in my 20s. I don't have a wife. I don't have a kid. I have a fantastic girlfriend, and she has a really wonderful daughter. But that's a new thing. That's like in the last 8 months. So never had kids, don't have a family of my own except my family back in Wisconsin, but I don't hardly ever see them because I can't afford to travel there. I live in a shitty little apartment that you can see behind. Oh, my kitty is sleeping. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. And shitty little apartment in Bellevue, Washington, right across the street from Microsoft. I make just barely enough to get by. I am not able to put away any money every month. I have zero. I think I have 63 cents in my savings account. I absolutely live paycheck to paycheck. I try not to use my credit card so that I'm not living in debt every month, and have successfully managed to do that now for a long time. Yeah, so I'm not making money off of this channel, other than, I should not say that. I am making money off this channel, and I love that you guys send me money to react to songs. I'm not making ad revenue off this channel, is really what I mean to say. YouTube does not pay me anything because I bring people to this site and they watch my videos. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that because I could not do these videos if the songs didn't exist. So the artists own the songs. Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. As somebody who has written a ton of different stuff over the years, I understand that whole idea of intellectual property, and I couldn't react to this if the music didn't exist. And so any money that's generated should go to these artists, or unfortunately to the companies that own the artists and the songs and all that sort of stuff, and then to YouTube as well. So that's also why I ask for people to send me money, and I ask for it in the most friendliest possible way that I can think of, which is, if you like what I have to say and you want to hear me talk about a song, send me something. And I do that just so that it's a little bit of a filter, so I just don't get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recommendations, and I still get them. So if you want me to ever react to something, please just send me a buck or two. If you want to send me more, yes, I appreciate it, absolutely, 100%. If you're an artist who wants to send me music, just send me your music. I think I've talked about this a lot on the channel. The new music is where the coolest stuff comes from, because you get to hear things that nobody else is doing, if that's the type of song it is, right? If they're just kind of, oh, I really like this type of music and I want to make that type of music, and they don't do anything innovative or cool or different or interesting with it, the song can still be good and still be interesting. That's what pop music is. But I'm really looking for stuff that stands out and is different in some way, or an artist who has a really unique way of looking at things, or a way of making music and presenting things and writing lyrics. And again, that's what excites me about music, is the new stuff, the cool stuff, the different stuff, the stuff that nobody's heard before. And that's kind of everything to me on this channel, because I haven't heard all of this music. And so when I first hear a song, I'm listening to it as if I haven't heard it before, because I haven't heard it before. And I want to give my honest reactions to things, because it just makes sense to me for a reaction channel that I would actually give an honest reaction to, and tell you what's coming up in my head, like what this reminds me of. I felt really weird the other day when I did a song. It was on Blade's album Ever Since? Was it Ever Since that I did? Sorry, I just don't remember. Ice Dancer. And I did a song, and in there he had talked about Jaws with silver teeth. And I was like, should I mention Jaws from the James Bond movie 007, like a couple of movies in the 70s that were kind of space themed, and Jaws was one of the bad guys, and he had silver teeth. Like, should I mention it? And I did mention it because I and people wrote back and said, "Oh, I always thought he was talking about like a shark with silver teeth or something like that, and that's what he meant by Jaws and silver teeth." And so I felt weird saying it, and yet it turns out that people actually didn't know that reference. And so again, your reality is based on information, and that's why I shared that, because I wanted to sort of mention, like, oh yeah, I also get this reference. Maybe you won't get this reference because you could be 15 years old, right? 20 years old, and you would... Why in the hell would you go back and watch a James Bond movie from 1978 or something like that? Especially, yeah, those are some special movies. A little cheesy, just a little. And but it's entirely possible. There's so much pop culture out there that it's impossible to know all of it. It's just impossible. And especially if you haven't lived through all those years, right? Like, I've seen those movies, and you may not have. Anyway, there you go. So that's everything about the channel. That's way more than I thought I was going to get into. But now I'm living in Bellevue. I'm working as a contract writer, editor for a consulting company or contracting company that contracts my time out to Microsoft. I work on the Xbox support site. It is not interesting or fun. It is very dry. It is very boring. It is, yeah, dry and boring. Not inspiring to work on. It is not the type of work that I like to do. I am completely underutilized, as is anyone who would do this job, because it's not creative, it's not interesting, there's no challenges, and I so want a new job. Pays me $80,000 a year plus a tiny little bit, which is not very much money. It's about half less than I used to be making. I need to find something different. I'm looking. Really unhappy. I get a lot of enjoyment out of the work that I do, and I need to get that enjoyment out of my work. Otherwise, I am very, very deeply unhappy. And I'm very deeply unhappy, especially about work. Everything else in my life, kind of awesome. My girlfriend is just amazing. She's a Russian refugee. Met her only a couple of weeks after she got here. Didn't know that at the time. And we just have a great time. She's fantastic. So there you go. You might see her at some point. I was thinking I might record this when she and her daughter were around, and have them both stick their heads in and say hi, but did not work out correctly. So maybe at some point in the future, maybe on one of the daily videos. They're around sometimes when I'm doing those, and they stick to. So if you look behind me here, I have Spider-Man on the wall, but there's a little hallway right there, and that door that you can see all the way down there, this door right here, the blue, that's the what's it called? Shades that drop down. That's the master bedroom. So that's where I sleep. And then this is a bathroom door. And then around the corner here, next to this door, is where her daughter's bedroom is. And so they can walk this whole area and get into the kitchen, which is right here. They can do that without getting on screen as I'm standing here or sitting here recording, because they'll be right behind me here, and like maybe you'd see like an elbow, or you'd see somebody walk by right here, but that would be it. You could see my cat sitting on the couch, so if they sat over there, you could see them. Yes, the Christmas tree is still up, but we plan to take that down in the next day or two. And anyway, so that's all that. Now I want to quickly run through all this stuff about the channel. And if you stuck around this far, this is kind of where it gets interesting. this is what I see when I go into YouTube Studio, which is what this is called, to upload videos. And the way I do that, I guess I've never said that, is you go up to this create button up at the top here. So there's my little logo, create, upload video, and I have, no, not my Star Wars D6 system stuff. I'm a big geek, I'm a gamer. A friend started talking about maybe running a Star Wars D6 game. If you are a gamer type, maybe you know what that means. Open in new window. Sorry, I'm doing some stuff over here. So yeah, here's a bunch of the videos that I've done recently. Oh hey, this is the one we are currently recording. So Fool Ya, what you doing up right now, blah blah blah. So, and I do them exactly when I upload them. So as you can see, Fool Ya, I recorded at 9:07 last night. 8:58 is when I wrapped up What You Doing Right Now. 8:51 is when I finished Evil by expiry date. So they're very, I record them, I post them, I don't watch videos ahead of time. But all I would do is take one of those files and drag it and drop it here, and it uploads. I don't need to do that right now. The longer the video is, the longer it takes to upload. It will also tell me if there's any sort of copyright issue. So if you see here, there's a restriction line right here. Yeah, if you can't read the very top, it says restrictions, and it says copyright notification, none, none, copyright. And for most songs, I will get something, I will get one of these two. I'll get a copyright notification or none. And all the copyright says is, hey, we see this music and we know it's by Chief Keef and the song is Fool Ya. So depending on what you're doing, you might be restricted, or you can't monetize it, or it can't be seen. Usually it just says it can't be monetized and says doesn't have an impact on your channel, don't worry about it, go ahead and post it. Sometimes it'll say you can't post this, you have to, there's a copyright claim against it, you have to appeal it. And what I do is considered fair use, so I'm reacting to a song, I'm not actively trying to make money off of it by making money off of ad sales and things like that, and I'm not charging to do this necessarily, and instead, and because of that, people look at my channel and review what I have posted, if they even do that physically. I highly doubt it. And I can just submit a thing that says, hey, I'm doing a reaction video. I claim in my, I stop, I rewind, I talk over the video. This would not make a good replacement for the original track. Nobody would want to download me talking over this song and kind of fucking it up in order to, like, they wouldn't want to use this soundtrack to replace the original song or the original video. And I don't claim any ownership of the copyrighted material. It's theirs. I wouldn't even, it's silly to even think of that. But when I get something like that, I have to appeal it, and then they say, oh, okay, yep, you're fine, go ahead and post it. When I post things, it shows me just what you see here. There's a little clip of the video, or a little picture of the video, the name. I can go to the different parts of this video so I can edit it. I can look at the analytics for it. I can go to the comments. Don't even know what I can watch it on YouTube to see, like, if I want to watch the video again. And then there's some other things as well. It's public visibility, and I can change that here if I want to make it private or unlisted. Restrictions is the next column. Date, I just always have this pretty much recorded from the most recent downward. And I have something like 1,400 videos now, or nearly 1,400 videos. In fact, the only way I can actually check on this easily is to go on my phone to my subscriptions and go to my channel on there. Don't talk, Papa Squat. I don't want to hear your words. Oh, why? No, stop. So what I want to do is go to here. Oh yeah, 1.4K videos is what I've got there. So 1,400 videos in the last 2.5, 3 years. 2.5, something like that. I don't know. And then number of views, number of comments, and likes versus dislikes. It doesn't actually give me the dislikes. It just says a percentage of the ones that are likes versus and then gives me the percentage. So if I have 75 likes on this Chief Keef video, and they're all positive, so they're all thumbs up. And if they weren't, there would be a 99 point something or 98 point something likes, and then I could figure out, hey, there's only one dislike. I tend to get the thing that I find interesting. Actually, the thing I find really interesting is the number of views. So if we look at views, 585 for this Chief Keef track. And in fact, this might be updated since I uploaded this. 585, that was a little while. Okay, so 600 views now, because people have been watching since we've been talking. 56 on the next video, 35 on the next video, 29 on the next video from Drea, 393 for Fix You from BTS, which really honestly surprises me. I usually get thousands of views on the BTS stuff, but maybe this song people aren't excited about. 462 from Trippie Redd. That's also the video you should go to enter to win for the 25,000 subscriber giveaway. There's information there. I'll include that also in the description below, so go check that out and just enter 25,000. There's information there in the description as well. 264 views for Close Friends from V's. And then it tells me the number of comments. Comments really vary depending on videos, like how many I get. I don't really pay attention to how many comments are there. I review all the comments. I do actually read through everything. Likes are interesting because I generally get about 10% of the views in likes. This is kind of weird because I have 76 likes already and only 600 views. So I would expect this to be like only 60 likes or 58, something like that. So people are liking this out of proportion of the number of views, which is good. That means they like what I'm doing. So for example, this one has 5 likes and 56 views. This one has 6 likes and 35 views. So that tells me people like this song. People like this song out of proportion with the number of people who are seeing it. So the people who watch it tend to like it pretty well. This one has 29 views and only 3 likes. That totally maps. So you can see it's generally about 10%. The other thing that's fun with the views is I can actually change this whole table to show us the videos with the most views and then go down. And that's pretty fun, to tell you the truth, because I have one video that has gone crazy. 136,940 views. That's a lot. To me, that's a lot. 25,000 subscribers is a lot to me. It seems crazy. 136,940 views for 12 Stout Street by RX Poppy. And if you haven't gone to see that video, please go watch it. And I mean the actual video, the 12 Stout Street video. And you can watch my reaction to it, obviously, but it is an incredibly good, hard, truthful, real song that, man, it's good. But it's got so many views because people really responded to it. Like, really think it's good. They think that I had some good things to say about it. And as you can see here, it's got a 99.5% positive likes. I'd have to figure out how many dislikes this has to figure out what that 0.5% is. But 12,276 likes. So the people who watch this apparently really like it. That's a lot of likes. I guess that's only about 10%, a little bit less. So that maps pretty closely to 705 comments. Then we have BTS with, actually kind of surprising that it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, is already up to 28,000 views. But maybe because it was a newer track from this past Christmas. I think it's from this past Christmas. when it first came out. The Obedient by Bladen Echo 2K has 24,000 views. BTS MMA 2019 Live has 22,000. Some more BTS, some more BTS, some more BTS, some more BTS. Spider full album by Blade, 15,000 views. E full album by Echo 2K, 15,000 listens or views. Stop Breathing by Playboy Cardi, wow, 14,000 views. Another BTS or member of BTS. Exeter full album by Blade. American Terrorist from RXK Nephew, whew, also really good. Ice Dancer, this is one from just the last couple of weeks, has already 14,000 views. So it's just fun for me to look at this and go, holy cow, like why are these videos getting so many views? And then I also have things like, I don't know, this is not showing me the least number of views. Why does this have 167 views? And it shows me it as the least? I don't understand that. Not too concerned about it. Then I can, if I post something live, those would go here. Posts to my community portion, which I've only ever done one. I need to figure out how to use that. If anybody actually ever uses that, let me know and how you prefer to use it. Stories, haven't done any stories, don't know if I will. And then playlists. I've got a bunch of playlists if you haven't gone to look at those. So I have requested reactions. These are reactions that were sent to me by the artist or by someone affiliated with the artist, whether it's a friend or their management or the artist themselves, and they have said, hey, could you please react to my music? I've got 186 videos in there. I love doing that. I love showcasing new artists. My favorites list are videos from the channel that really hit it with me. Like, I really liked it. Full albums are obviously full album reactions. Those take me a while to get to. I have a whole bunch to go through, and I haven't had a lot of time to do it, and I'm really trying to kind of dedicate myself to doing an album a week if I can. Time is the issue. Influences. These are songs. This list is songs that I know from my past that stick with me or really influence or are good examples. That's probably a better idea. Are good examples of the sorts of music that I listen to, and they are all over the place. So that's a fun list. I've just listened to that on my own. It's not me talking, it's just videos. A couple of videos on hip-hop history, a couple of videos, or 5 videos on music and production, 7 of this sort of video. I don't know why it's 7, should only be 6, but I probably have a couple other videos in there. And then a few videos that are where I talk a lot about culture and commentary on music in general or life and things like that. So there's some fun stuff to watch in there. So if you haven't checked out any of the playlists, go check those out. Analytics is probably the coolest tab to look at because it gives me a cool place to find out how many views the channel has had, how many people are subscribed, how much exposure the channel has had, because it could be seen by a lot. It could be seen. The channel itself could be seen by a lot more people than any individual video, and it could pop up in people's like recommended for you, and that's considered some amount of exposure. Anyway, we don't need to get into that too much. So this is the last 28 days. That's what this little thing says here. The last 28 days, this is the information we have. So this is for sure the BTS video. And I don't know what, yeah, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So absolutely 28,000 views. So that's the big bump right there. 207,000.9 views. 207.9 thousand views, I should say, in the last 28 days across the entire channel. So that's a lot. That seems like a lot. And you can see I have 208,000 views, but those are like individual videos, people going to look at things. So if you've watched multiple videos, you probably counted multiple times. And I have that many videos, but I only have 25,000 subscribers. So obviously there are people coming from elsewhere to watch the channel or to watch something, and they might leave immediately and not subscribe. I actually have a pretty good subscription rate, which I hear is very unusual. I really am not steeped in YouTube behind the scenes info, the whole YouTube content creator community. I don't know what a good number is. I get about 2,000 subscribers a month. I think it's a blast. I love doing this. I love that people seem to enjoy what I do. I don't think I'm doing anything unusual. I think I'm just giving my honest feedback on music. I don't like to rip on people. I don't like to... No, that's not true. I love to rip on people. I'm absolutely acerbic, caustic fucking asshole sometimes. It's just my sense of humor. But when it comes to music and creative and putting yourself out in the world, I have no interest in shitting on what somebody else is doing with their creative efforts. I have no interest in doing that. I believe fervently in being as constructive and informative and useful as possible to somebody who sends me music. I get people who have never recorded music before who send stuff to me, or are very early days in producing music of their own. And all I can do is like, fuck yes, keep making your music, keep doing this. This could become your life. You don't have to be awesome right now. Awesome comes 10,000 hours from now. And you may get famous way before 10,000 hours from now. So keep doing this, keep making your music. And I'm honest about that. I'm not kidding. If you are interested in music, don't fucking wait for somebody. If you want interested in doing anything, don't wait for somebody to ask you to do it. Just go do it. I wrote a novel last year. It took me 10 weeks. I wrote 100,000 words. I wrote a novel. I've been wanting to write a novel for years, and I finally took my own fucking advice and wrote a novel. That's what you need to do. And even if it goes nowhere, I'm trying to send it out. I'm trying to shop it around to people. It's harder than music. Music, you can just play for people and it's a couple minutes long and you're done. You get really quick feedback. A novel takes a lot longer. But just do it. You want to be a welder. Go fucking weld shit. Go do it. Just figure out. Go ask somebody at a welding shop, hey, can I borrow your equipment? I want to learn how to weld, and I know a little bit. Like, I just want to go find out a way to do it. Steal the software to do it. To do whatever, not weld. And just make your stuff. Do what you got to do, and do what makes you happy. You got to work your entire life. Unless you're rich, unless somebody left you a whole bunch of money, or you got hit by a car and you got a huge payment or something like that. You have to work your entire life. And even if the other things are true, if you're rich somehow, you still want to be happy. So do what you enjoy doing. I think people don't figure that out. They're like, oh, I want to be a dentist because I want to make good money. Do you fucking love being a dentist? Then why do you want to spend the majority of your life doing that? Like, find what you love doing and do it. Like, I don't know. Maybe those things should be hobbies. I don't think so. I think they should be what you do with your life. You'll get so much more out of your life if you enjoy what you do. So anyway, I get a lot of subscribers, and I think that's awesome. I really enjoy being able to share this music, especially with people, and then my thoughts, if people enjoy it, great. That's totally secondary for me. Let's see here. I currently have... Ooh, wow, we got a bunch of new subscribers in the last little bit. So we just hit 25,000 the other day, and we're at 25,101 subscribers right now. The thing that I love to look at here is to go this little drop-down menu on the side, pointing right. Whoop, I always point the wrong way. Right up here. This lets me look at, so I can look at 2022, 2023, January, December, it's the last couple of months, lifetime, 365 days, 90 days, 28 days, 7 days. I love to look at lifetime. I just absolutely love looking at lifetime. 1.8 million views on my channel alone. I find